Good evening, this is Derek with the Grumpy Guy Show. You're going to listen to episode number 18, Just an Old Guy Complaining. What's he complaining about tonight? Well, how about the way that major appliances are now purchased and advertising that you pay for? Stay tuned. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Derek McAllister with the Grumpy Guy Show. Tonight it's another solo run because Ryan and I just couldn't get anything to work right for recording. Now, as you know, we don't have a whole lot of listeners yet. Hopefully that'll change. But we don't have a whole lot, which means that I really can't afford to go paying for something. So if you have any ideas out there for a product that we can use to do this, please drop us a note in the comments for the episode on our Facebook page, and we'll see what we can do. Things we've tried using Google Meet or Google Chat, whatever the heck it's called nowadays. We tried using Discord. That's what we used when he actually did the recording with me remotely. So that didn't work out so well. And we tried using a phone call where I called him from the computer, but we couldn't get it to record his voice. And then we tried using Facebook Messenger, and of course that didn't work either. So we've tried most of what I can figure out to try for free. I do have an idea where I might try just calling him on the phone and using the record feature that's built into Google's Dialer app. But I'm not so sure how well that's going to work. I'm not sure where it stores it, so I got to play with that and see what happens. So it may end up being a little bit of a short episode, but we'll see, because I got a couple of topics that have really got me irked. So let's jump right in. So the first one. So recently, our washer decided that it was gonna die. All right, now don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the quality of the product, because it's roughly 14. It's somewhere 14 to 16 years old. So that's a pretty good lifespan for something that takes as much abuse and does as much work as the washer does. So, I decided, I said, well, okay, I gotta go get one, because, we need to do laundry. That's all there is to it. Can't go without doing laundry. So, I went down to the store. I went down to Lowe's to begin with. And I started looking through all of their products out there. I find one that I like. And I go over to talk to him about it, and he says, well, it'll take us 3 weeks to get it to you, and then 2 months to get the dryer. Okay, well, how about this next one down then? Okay, well, we can get you that one in about the same 2 weeks, but there's no telling when the dryer's coming in to match it. Okay, well, how about this one over here? Oh, well, I can get you those in a nice matching set, both at the same time, but not until the end of October. Now, this is September 8th when I did this. So I said, well, I can't wait that long to get a washer, so I'm going to have to go somewhere else. Now, no matter where you are, no matter what city you're in, you're very, very limited as to who actually sells washers and dryers nowadays. So I go over to Home Depot because it's right near where I am. And I'm looking through, and they have a much smaller selection. An even smaller selection of those that I would actually consider purchasing. So I looked at one, and I said, okay, well, how long will it take to get this one in? Well, if you want that one, I have to sell you that one right there. So you could take it home tonight if you got a way to do that, or we can have it delivered. So I said, okay. how about a matching dryer? So she looked it up and she said, well, that won't be, we can't get that delivered until October 20th. I said, okay, well, our dryer's still working, so that works. I'll take it. So I bring it home, get it all set up, get it plugged in, get the water lines hooked up, put the drain in. Then I start following their instructions to test it, calibrate it, and make sure that it's all ready. And it runs, makes all kinds of noise. And then stops. I'm just sitting there, okay. Do I have to wait for it? What do I have to do? Nothing. So I said, all right, well, let's try getting some water in there, because they got the little pre-wash jet thing, they call it. I don't know what the hell it is. Just like a little waterfall. You push a button and it starts this little waterfall so you can do a pre-wash, and then you hit the button again to stop it. So I said, well, I can use that to fill it up. So I turned it on. I let a whole bunch of water run in there. And then I stop it. I close the lid and I tell it to start a rinse and spin cycle, because that's their suggestion. So then it starts up, makes all its noise again, and I can see the drain line moving. So I pull the drain line up, and it's actually pumping some water out. So, okay, it's pumping water. Good thing. Maybe it'll start. So then I sit there, and it's done making all its noise, and it just stops. I said, okay. Well, when I pushed the start button, it took a minute before it actually started. Maybe that's what has to happen. Maybe I just got to let it sit there. So I let it sit there. I walked away. Nothing. 20 minutes I let it sit there. And when I came back after that 20 minutes, it still had the same 18 minutes remaining displayed on the screen. So I said, all right, guess something's wrong with it. So being brand new, I figured, hey, what the heck, let's just call Samsung and see what they can do for me. So I didn't actually call them because it's impossible to find a number, and of course I'm the type of person I'd rather not actually talk to somebody. It's easier to message them, so that's what I did. And in messaging them, he had me try everything that I had already tried. And then finally he said, okay, well, this isn't working. We're going to have to get a technician out there. I said, all right, just to make sure, this is a brand new washer, so I'm not going to pay for it. Right? He said, well, as long as it's still in warranty. I said, I just bought it. It's got to be in warranty. So he asked me for the serial number. I give him the serial number, and he says, no, that's not in warranty. That warranty expired in September of 2020. I said, no, it couldn't have expired in September of 2020 because I truly just bought it. So he kind of stumbled a little bit, and then finally said, well, I need your receipt as proof. So I sent him the receipt. Okay, it'll be covered. All right, great. Let's get this taken care of. Because I told him, I said, because it's brand new. If you're not going to be able to fix it, then I'll take it back right now, and I'll cancel the dryer, and I'll order something else. He said, no, we can get it fixed. Not to worry. All right. So he sets everything up. Service company calls me, sets up an appointment for a week later. So here we are, we're without a damn washer for a week. And then, they were supposed to come today. They called me right about the time the technician should have been calling me to say he's on his way. And they say, we're sorry, we're not going to be able to service it today because our technician hurt himself and he's going to be out for a while. I said, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I haven't had a washer for 2 weeks now, waiting for this stuff. I mean, 2 weeks was an exaggeration, but seriously, they next appointment they had available is a week from today, which means by the time they get out here, it will be 2 weeks since I've had a washer. This is ridiculous. I told her, I said, I need a washer. And if I need to just take this thing back because I'm going to have to keep screwing around waiting for you guys to come through and fix this, then I need to do it now before Home Depot won't take it back. No, we'll be there. Okay. But, this all goes right back to the biggest issue that there is. I could have, and I should have, just gone online and ordered a washer and dryer set. Plain and simple. I shouldn't have played this game of going down there because I knew going down there that they weren't going to have one in stock. But the difference is, the last time we went down and we bought a washer and dryer, it was a 2-day turnaround. Meaning, they have a warehouse in the Syracuse area. They just, it was just a matter of scheduling their delivery trucks. But now, it's a minimum of 2 weeks. Why? Well, because their warehouse is no longer in the Syracuse area. Their warehouse is someplace else, which means not only are they scheduling the delivery from that place to their warehouse, but then they've also got to schedule from their warehouse to the house. It's like this with all major appliances. I get that, having these things in stock is expensive. But this is what you do. This is why you mark prices up 50% over your cost to cover anything that you might lose. I mean, this is nuts. What if a refrigerator goes? Well, when our refrigerator went bad, we ended up having to go out and buy a small refrigerator just to keep essential things for the week and a half before they delivered the refrigerator. And that was the fastest turnaround that I could get. This is outrageous. I understand that there's shipping problems and everything, but that kind of lends itself to having a localized warehouse. Instead of having one central warehouse down in PA or wherever it is that covers the entire Northeast, why don't you have one in every state? Or, maybe you don't have one in smaller states like Connecticut or Rhode Island. Maybe there's one that's like right in Mass that covers Rhode Island, Connecticut, maybe Western New York and Maine. But, even covering, or not Western New York, Eastern New York, even covering Eastern New York and Maine is an awful big territory. You've got to have these more localized things. And, because people are just going to get ticked off. So many of these stores can't figure out why Amazon got so big and why they got so big so quickly. Well, it's because when you order from Amazon, you know that even if you're paying Prime, you're waiting 2 days for it to be delivered. 2 days, that's it. You go to these stores, you don't know when it's going to be delivered. Unless it's sitting there right on the shelf that you can pick it up and carry it out, you don't know when it's going to be delivered. And the other thing is, instead of having to go store to store to store to store, you can just go to one place, look, and find all different kinds of items. Example, my youngest, he wanted some different headphones. So I said, well, we'll go down to Walmart and see what they have. So we went down there. They didn't have anything that he wanted. Why? Well, he wanted specific type that, they're wired because he's the type that still wants wired headphones. But he also wants on-ear headphones or over-ear headphones. He doesn't like earbuds. Kind of like me in that sense, but, so he had a very specific thing that he wanted. And they didn't have them. So, what'd we do? Well, I'm not going to drive them all around from store to store to spend $10 on some headphones just so he could have them right then. We ordered them on Amazon. 2 days later, guess what? They're here. And they're the exact thing that he wanted. On-ear, wired headphones. You know, this is why Amazon got so big. This is why stores like Walmart, Target, Sears, Kmart. Yes, Sears and Kmart, just in case you don't know, they're part of this whole thing. They all fell apart because Amazon came in and they had these centralized warehouses where they pushed shipping. You know, they didn't have the overhead cost associated with having a building like Walmart. You know, you look in the Syracuse area. Syracuse is small. I think there's like 7 or 8 Walmarts in this area. That means they're paying 7 or 8 times as much for locations as what Amazon's paying. You know, so Amazon is, instead of paying for these buildings all over like that, what are they doing? They're paying for the shipping. They're covering their costs with, you know, they're making it up with shipping. And all of these stores missed out on that because they went with a misguided principle that everybody's going to want to touch stuff. They're going to want to physically grab things. They're going to want to say, I want to go down to the store and I want to buy it and take it home today. You know, when it comes to saving a couple of bucks and not having to drive store to store to store to find what you want, there's not many people that would prefer to do that. And that's why Amazon is so big. Unfortunately, the government didn't do their job and protect the people. They let Amazon buy up companies. They let Amazon completely and totally destroy other online retailers with very aggressive tactics. But, you know, it's getting to a point where I really don't even want to go down to the store to buy things like these major appliances. And I can tell you now, if they don't fix this, I'm going to take it back to Home Depot. I'm going to tell them to cancel the dryer, and I'm going to order something online. Not saying it's going to be from Amazon, because there's other places like Best Buy or, you know, BJ's where we can actually order these appliances. Yeah, it'll take a little while to get here, but it's going to take a while to get here anyhow. So I might as well save a couple of dollars and get exactly what I want and know when it's coming. It's just insane. I don't understand what their thinking is with this. You know, it baffles me as to how they think that that's a good business model. It's just not. So, anyway, that took up quite a bit of time. Boy, oh boy. But I gave you the big story, the whole story, instead of just part of it. Yeah, maybe you'll like that, maybe you won't, I don't know. Leave me some comments, let me know. So the next topic I've got, it has to do with podcasting. So I'm trying to grow the audience. And part of growing the audience is, you know, it's to find other places, to other avenues. So, you know, I've been posting the link on Facebook, and Ryan posts the link on Twitter, and, you know, I share it via text message to my neighbor, you know, because he refuses to get a podcast app, and, you know, he apparently can't remember where the address is, when, you know, he could just save it as a favorite in his browser, but hey, just picking on you. But, you know, I do that because I want to grow it. And I hope that, you know, people are sharing it out. I hope that anybody listening is enjoying it. I mean, I've had some comments where people said, hey, you know, that was funny. But our listenership is way down. Sure, some of it is probably because Ryan and his friends are in college and they're distracted. Totally get that. But, you know, so I've been trying to remember to look into putting the podcast on the iTunes store, you know, with all the other Apple, or I guess it's not the iTunes store, I guess it's the Apple Podcast or something. I don't know what the heck it is. But, so I finally remembered to look into that over the weekend. And I'm going along, and I'm like, and they keep talking about money. They keep talking about adding a credit card. And I'm looking, and I'm following the steps. I've now got an Apple ID, which I never thought I'd have. But, I've got an Apple ID. And then I go to sign up to be able to put them up there, and it's $20. Now, I don't remember if that was $20 one-time fee, or $20 per month, or $20 per year. I think it was actually per year, but at any rate, these podcasts are generating so much revenue for Apple just by having people come into the iTunes store. They're going to see all of these other things beyond just the podcast. Why am I paying money to Apple for them to make money? It's insane. But this is the kind of thing that happens all over the place. It used to be the only way you knew somebody was wearing Nike shoes was, you look at them, you see the swoosh. You never knew anything about Nike making shirts or anything like that. No, not until suddenly they realized that people would actually advertise for them. And not only advertise for them, but pay to advertise for them. You buy a shirt from Nike, doesn't matter what kind of shirt it is, there's going to be that Nike swoosh on it. Doesn't matter. You can't get away with that. You can't get away without having that. And, every single brand has their own little logo, and it's always displayed. Why can't you just get a shirt that doesn't advertise for some company? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to advertise for Nike. I just want a quality shirt. I don't want to advertise for Polo. I want a quality shirt. But they plaster it all over the place, and they make it so that it's so prominent that, it really distracts from what it is. I mean, seriously, I should have to ask, hey, what brand shirt is that? That's nice. That's a nice shirt. I shouldn't be able to just look and say, oh, Nike shirt, okay. He's got money. I mean, seriously, it's become a status symbol. When I was in high school, having Nike shoes was a status symbol because they were expensive then. They're expensive now. But, they're not as expensive now because there's more competition. But, it was a status symbol to have Nike shoes. So now it became a status symbol to have a Nike shirt. It's not that the Nike shirts are any better quality than, say, something from, something from Levi's or some of the other, like Polo or anything like that. It's just Nike. And we wonder why these companies are getting to be so big. Well, it's because you're paying to advertise for them. You look at like, if you look at any sports team, you buy their stuff, and it's plastered all over the place. And what are you doing? Well, you're advertising for them. You're not really supporting them. You're just making the team rich because the league may be not for profit, but each team is not necessarily not for profit. But even then, you buy that shirt, you're advertising for that league, which is supposedly not for profit, but they're worth billions. And you're also advertising for that team. But then you're also advertising for that individual player because you're getting their jersey. You're not just buying a shirt. Yes, you can, and some people do. But most people, when they spend the money on something like that, they're buying the jersey of their favorite player. It's just ridiculous. That's all advertising. You're not buying a jersey. You're buying an advertisement, and you're going to wear it around. So now these companies have all these billboards going all over the place. And that's why so many companies are doing these things. It's not because their product is actually any better. It's because they know that if they advertise and make you a billboard, you're going to pay for a billboard for that status symbol. It's just insane. So, back to this whole thing. This is a podcast with a very low listenership. I can't afford to spend $20, even if I'm correct, it's $20 a year. I can't afford to spend that on something I'm not going to make any money on. Sure, if I get to the point where I've got 50 listeners on a regular basis, then I'll start doing some ads. But it's not going to be something that I'm going to try and make a living on, because seriously, who wants to listen to some old guy complain constantly? The fact that some people are actually listening to me ramble on for 30 minutes, that's impressive, and I really appreciate that. But, am I ever expecting to be able to make enough money to afford $20 a year to get onto Apple's stuff? No. And yeah, somebody might say, oh, well, you got to take a chance at it because the only way you're going to make money is to spend money. But, this is just a hobby. This isn't something that I'm trying to make millions of dollars on. This isn't something that I'm trying to, retire with. This is just something to vent, to kind of relax and, make my life a little bit better. It's not something that I expect to get rich on. And, I'm not going to go spending a whole lot of money just to do it. That's why I'm using Anchor as the place to start it from, because they offer it for free. I'd love to have a website instead of using Facebook, but I can't do that and have it so that it's not free. I can't afford that. I've got other things that I got to deal with, just like anybody else. Somebody who's really young and starting out, sure, they could go ahead and spend the money. But, I've got a mortgage, I've got cars, I've got a family to take care of. Maybe if podcasts were a thing back when I was 20, sure, I'd be looking to make money on this, and I'd spend a little bit to get it started and get it going, but I'm not 20. I'm not debt-free. I have a car that I want to be reliable. So, paying $20 a year just to maybe pick up a few listeners and not make any money off of it, well, that's ridiculous. Especially since if I did pay that and I did start running advertisements, I'd more than likely have to tell Apple that I'm running advertisements. And then they'd say, well, we need a cut. Well, what do you need a cut for? You're charging me $20 a year just to be on here. You don't need a cut. And they'd argue with me. And then what they would do is they would say, well, if you want to be on our platform and you're going to run advertisements, then you got to pay us $20 a year and you got to give us a cut out of your advertisement money. It's just ridiculous. And they do this stuff based on the fact that they know that I'm not going to be able to afford to fight them. Even if I won the lottery and I had millions of dollars sitting in the bank, how can somebody, even a multimillionaire, let's say I won the current lottery, which, one of them is like 400 million. So, I bring home 200 million. That's chump change to a company like Apple. They're worth $100 billion. If I decide I'm going to fight with them, they're just going to laugh at me and say, okay, well, you can go ahead and you can argue with our team of 45 lawyers. Let us know when you're ready to cave in and just pay us. And this is where the government really needs to step in and control things. They allowed these companies to get this big, and now they got to figure out a way to correct it. Because without correcting it, we're just going to be in this problem forever. But anyway, so folks, it's about that time. Probably heard the music starting up in the background. I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully I can figure something out to get Ryan in on this next week. He's talking about actually having some of his friends join us, so maybe they won't be joining us next week, but hopefully soon, so that you're not just listening to an old guy ramble on. So, good night, and we'll see you.